And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I get to try and find our testing VOD for the second boss, Bloodbound Horror. Let's see. This might be it. Sikran. Silken Court. So maybe not. I did not get to test Heroic Bloodbound Horror. So I only have the Mythic one if I can find it. Alright, so that was Old Grax, so it should be in this one. Yeah, there we go. So this is the second boss, or choosable second boss, I believe. And it is basically Anduin. I'm trying to find the start of another poll. Yeah, it's got a go down phase. So if I remember right, the only difference on this fight between Heroic and Mythic is one extra ability. Yeah. Okay. So Heroic has like very little going on. Which, I mean, it's a second boss, so that's not terrible.
I did it on Heroic, and the hardest part about that boss was like just managing the ad that spawns far away from the main group of ads.
Yep. Yeah. So basically how this is going to work is your raid the raid is effectively going to be entirely split in two. You can pretty much view it as you only have 10 people in your group because you pretty much won't ever interact with the other group. There's just no need to. It's similar to Volcaros where you split up and you basically never come back. So your first group of 10 people will go down first, the other people will be up, and you'll switch like that throughout the fight. The go down mechanic is just like Anduin if you did it in the last expansion, where there's a giant wide frontal on the current boss who's tanking, and everybody who wants to go down has to be in the AoE of that frontal.
Hello.
Ignore the circles, that is the Mythic mechanic. So this is the giant AoE. Kind of hard to see. Hopefully they like increase or improve the visual to tell you like where this is ending. But this giant frontal clone, Gruesome Disgorge, that is the move where everybody who's inside of this is going to go down into the Shadow Realm. I don't know how many ads there are on Heroic versus Mythic. On Mythic, there was 3 caster ads and 1 tank ad. I don't know if that will be the same on Heroic. But from what Schnack said, the positioning is still the same, where there will be 1 far caster ad, and then the other ads will all be in a group together. This ad...
There's like, it's 1 tank ad and 1 caster, and then that's it. And then every time it does like the big full energy cast, he just adds another ad.
He adds an ad. Okay.
Yep.
Fun.
It just ramps up on Heroic.
Interesting. Why didn't they do that for Mythic? It did not add one.
On Heroic, it adds another one of like the stationary ads that spawn the little guys.
Yeah, the casters. Or the spawners.
It tends to be on the opposite side of where the pair is.
That's interesting. So on Heroic in the first phase, like the standing still guy and the tank ad both spawn in the same place?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when he did full energy, you had to run out. Then
Yeah.
Then the next time we went down, there was an extra ad.
Okay.
An extra like stationary guy.
So for Heroic, since we're focusing on Heroic, sounds like at least in phase 1 there will just be one of each. There will be a spawner guy and a tank guy. And they'll be right next to each other, so you just kill them. In phase 2 and later on, if there's more ads and they're the spawner guys, they have a chance to be basically anywhere on the platform. They can be like this guy is right next to the main group, or they can be completely across the room, and you won't know until you see their spawn locations there. So on poll, you see them immediately. This would...
The orb is the tank ad, right?
Yes, the orb is the tank ad. So the orb is the tank ad. The other ones are the caster guys that do not move. You can't move them at all. So this will tell you where their positions is. So you'll have enough time beforehand to know where they're going to be positioned. Preferably, if they are all stacked up like this, we go down either on top of or very close to the group. Since this is on pull and we're already split into our two groups, we just decide to stay here and go down so that they don't have to move. If they are completely across the room from each other, preferably you go down in between the middle, because you don't want to F over your people who have to go far and kill that ad, because you're basically going to split your down group into two groups. You're going to have a couple ranged go over and deal with the far ad, and you're going to have everybody else kill the grouped up people.
It is a little annoying that spawns were just completely random.
Yeah, it's not fun. You pick high mobility classes or classes with ports and jumps, because there's a laser beam that comes through the boss. And it will happen while the people are downstairs. So mages, warlocks are very good to go kill the far ad. Yeah.
I'm used to that. That's whatever.
But yeah, so you go down. You're killing these ads. The caster guys are just constantly spawning little ads that try to walk to the boss. So slows that persist over time are really good, because the ads will just spawn like one at a time. So Ring of Frost, Ursul's Vortex, like Death and Decay, stuff like that is really useful. Stuff that doesn't just like one hit, like Shockwave or something. And then you just kill ads, and this is the beam that is happening. It's a beam directly through the boss, so one straight line. So it's on this side of the room and it's also on the other side of the room. That beam is aimable by the tank who is upstairs. So the beam always shoots out from the boss's left and right. So wherever the tank upstairs is, the beam is going to shoot out from 90 degrees from that tank. So preferably, and at least in Mythic, the beam always moved in the same direction. Preferably the upstairs tank would position the beam so that it is just after where the main group is. You basically ignore the far ad and just let the ranged who deal with it. And you place the beam just past the main group so that they don't have to deal with the beam for as long as possible, and they can spend as much time on the ads. And so that is pretty much what's happening. You see these like tentacles up here in the top right. A couple people. There's your beam.
So what, counterclockwise?
Yes.
Yeah.
And at least on testing, that was always the same in Mythic. We'll see how it is on live. So this debuff, a couple people will be getting this at a time. It's basically just your usual you can't stop moving debuff. It spawns a circle on the ground. After 2 seconds, a tentacle erupts from it and hits. I don't even think it does damage to you while you have the debuff. I think it literally just spawns them underneath you. Yeah, it doesn't even do damage to you. It just spawns them under you, and it hits for like half your health if you're still standing there. And it's after 3 seconds. You can actually stand still for quite a while. But it lasts for 12 seconds, so you have to deal with it for a long time. And that'll keep happening. And people who are downstairs or upstairs can get hit by those tentacles. It doesn't matter what phase you're in. And then after a certain amount of time, you get kicked out. I believe it's 45 seconds. Timer's up here on D-Bus. You get kicked out from down below, and phase just repeats. When you're upstairs, you don't actually do anything except for DPS the boss. Like, that's literally it. So it's kind of boring for upstairs. You DPS the boss and you get the tentacle debuff. The circles mechanic is the Mythic mechanic, which is just a spread debuff. That's it. So yeah, that's all of phase 1. And then there is like an intermission AoE cast that we'll see in a second. So basically all you're doing while you're upstairs is staying with your tank, who's on blue, to try and make sure you're still with him for when you need to go down, and so that you don't get beamed whenever he's placing the beam. It is up to the tanks to place the beam correctly so that they're not beaming the downstairs group. And other than that, you're just DPSing the boss, and he's about to be at 100 energy, so we'll see the sort of phase reset mechanic. It's this giant AoE where you have to get out. Range can still DPS from a distance. If you're in this, it'll kill you. It also puts a very large dot on everybody afterwards for 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds. So that's a good time for long-standing damage reduction, especially because of the likelihood that you will be away from the group. So you see how like spread the group is kind of over this arch. Most people are over there, but some of us mages are over here because we're dumb. But this is a very good time to use the defensive, is right after this hits, the dot flies to you, so it actually takes some time. So the mechanic already went off, but it hasn't hit me yet, and then it finally hits me. So good time for a defensive there, and then you're just repeating again. And it sounds like on heroic you get 1 extra add each time, on mythic you don't. However, you can see that like the main group of adds is over here. They will spawn now. So this is the main group of adds. You've got 3 here. The other add is way the fuck over here on the other side of the boss. And that's the one that I have to go kill. So we go down in between the group because that'll be the easiest for both sets of groups to go deal with. On mythic, this spread mechanic always happens like during the go down mechanics. So that's fun. And then we're going to go kill this far add. I believe it's like 2 mages and a boomkin and 1 healer, and everybody else is on the other ad. And the upstairs tank is currently standing right here because that is to position the beam so where it won't hit the large group of players. At least that is the goal. I don't know if he actually did it right. He did. So he put it just on this side of the group. So it would be up to the group to make sure that they're actually stacked on the ads, which it looks like they are. We're about to die.
The bosses, that's gonna be something to get used to.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta aim well. We're about to die here, and the reason for that is because on mythic testing, if you didn't have your full group of people go down, you basically didn't have enough damage to kill the caster ads, which means you wipe. When you are just like Anduin, if you are downstairs, you have to kill every single ad that is spawned, or they will kill your group. Because if you get sent back up in 7 seconds, and this caster ad isn't dead, he's just going to keep spawning small ads while you're upstairs, and they are going to walk to the boss and kill you, which they are about to.
Okay.
So there they go. They're going to nuke us. So yeah, at least on mythic testing, it was very punishing for either anybody missing going down or anybody being dead. It was almost like an instant wipe. You just didn't have the DPS to kill the ads. That will...
It was pretty rough.
Yeah,
we didn't even kill it.
Yeah, we didn't kill it on mythic either. That will probably be very true on heroic first week. Like, we are going to be undergeared as hell, and it's going to take all of our damage to kill the downstairs ads. So
Were ads grippable or anything?
no, the only ad that is
Like
well,
little babies.
yeah, only the little babies that walk to the boss. No, the casters can't move. The only one that is movable is the tank ad.
That one needs to be. I don't know if it needed a 2-person kick rotation, but it kept doing the cast that
I
could giga buff the boss. I think
yeah.
it was just the tank and kick it.
I'm pretty sure it's just the tank, and yeah, it shields the boss, and I think buffs him maybe something else as well if it goes off. So it's just a constant interrupt. But I think it was just tank interrupt even on mythic.
Yeah, the little casters are the more important thing, as long as the tank ad isn't meleeing anyone, obviously.
Yeah, so you can, I think you can technically live if the tank ad doesn't die, but you will die if any of the casters are left up. And so we can at least talk about the mythic mechanic, which we see on poll here, is the
spread thing.
spread circles. Yep. So there's actually
Frontals happen.
2 mechanics happening here. There's a heal absorb that goes out at the same time as this as well. So we have like the debuff that gave us the heal absorb, and we have the debuff going off to do AoE damage, and then we also have the go down mechanic happening at the same time. And it's always like that as far as I can tell. You get the spread mechanic right before the go down, you get the spread mechanic while you are downstairs, and then that repeats again for the next group. So you'll get the spread mechanic again right when they're about to go down, and then 1 spread mechanic while they are downstairs. So here's the spread. It's at about 30 seconds after you go down, something like that. And that's the only difference to the fight. There's more adds as well, obviously. So heroic, we said there was only 2 at the start, and you gain 1 after each phase. Mythic, there's just 4 all the time. 3 casters and 1 tank, and there's always 1 far ad. So for them, the far ad is on purple, the rest of the group is on blue, but the far ad can be anywhere. And there's the spread mechanic, and then they're about to go down right now, and it repeats. So at least on Mythic and in testing, there isn't that many abilities to actually defensive. We're thinking about planning. I think the only one I really have planned is for the Mythic spread mechanic. Blood Curdle.
Imagine the heal absorbs will be an issue early on.
Yeah.
On them, you just can't be healed.
Yeah, the heal absorbs will be big.
Just Healthstone that XD.
Yeah, so
1 minute cooldown.
On heroic, really the only mechanic that you like take spike damage from is the go down mechanic, which is the disgorge. The gore splatter dot that happens after each intermission is one as well, and that's like 2 minutes ish apart because each downstairs phase is like 45 seconds and there's a grace period in between. So those are the only like damage spikes. Other than that, you constantly take damage while you're downstairs. That is actually going to be the highest damage taken in the fight because it's just a constant environmental damage. So yeah, at least on heroic, pop a defensive while you're downstairs. There's no reason not to because there's nothing else that's actually going to do damage to you. It's surprisingly hard to die. Just don't get hit by tentacles. That's pretty much it.
I love tentacles though.
Yeah, I know, but like keep it to your personal life.
Hey dude, don't kink shame.
So on Mythic, you also have this AoE spread mechanic that again is your other thing that you can defensive. But yeah, that's basically it. There's only 1 ad to kick, so it's not like you need a major rotation or anything. At most, you need 2 people, but I'm pretty sure it's just tank. The other guys don't do anything to you. They just spawn small ads. The small ads don't do anything except for run to the boss. Any questions?
Oh.
This fight is very formulaic. It follows the same pattern every time. Group 1 goes down, kills ads, comes up. Group 2 goes down, kills ads, comes up. Intermission AoE phase happens, repeat. Everything happens on the same timers every single pull. The tentacle debuffs go out at the same time. The beam goes out at the same time. You can literally pre-plan this entire fight before you ever even pull it, as long as the timers are relatively the same from beta to live.